Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground is brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dan Eikenberry. I'm the president of the Cass County Historical Society, and I want to welcome you all to our history walk. We're glad to have you. Hope you look forward to learning a little bit about our city's past history. If you're ready to walk, we're going to head over there. I am Patrick McGarry, born in Stanton, Michigan on June 6, 1860. While traveling through northern Minnesota, I came to Leech Lake to see my brother, James. When I saw this area, I said, I will go no further. This is the most beautiful place of all. My first business was the Leech Lake Land Company. We plotted the town site for Walker, and I became the first mayor of the new town in March of 1896.
The village of Walker was incorporated on March 10, 1896, and by September 19th of that year, an ordinance for fire protection was introduced and a volunteer fire department organized. A hose cart, 4 rubber suits, 7 helmets, and 24 leather buckets were ordered, and several ladders were built. The project was in charge of Marshal Cram and who served as the chief. Their official name was the Walker Bucket Brigade, and every man in town was a loyal member of the brigade. Refusal to fight a fire most times ended in a jail term. A fire bell was placed near the corner of 5th and Front Streets. It was also used as a curfew bell for the children of Walker into the early 1950s. The first fire in Walker occurred on May 8, 1897 at Dufour's lunch counter. The boys poured some gasoline into the stove, and one of the burners being lifted, the fluid in the can took fire. The can was thrown over the counter and it burst open, and the floor was all ablaze for a moment. They opened the back door and kicked the can out, the fire dying out before the excitement was lasted for some time. Well, this building was built by the WPA in 1937 during the Great Depression, and it was used as the fire hall and city council chambers for many years.
The Spalding Hotel was the first hotel to be built in Walker by John Burke. John King, a pioneer settler of Walker, came here in 1895 from Bay City, Michigan, and opened the Corner Saloon in the Spalding Hotel. Very politically minded, he was a Cass County Commissioner for 2 terms, was an assessor of Walker Village for a number of years. He was born in Ireland and was 73 years old when he died on April 18, 1920. Fire between 4 and 5 o'clock on March 27, 1903 destroyed his hotel and Logan's restaurant and all of the contents of the 2 places. Mr. King's loss for the building was estimated at about $6,000 and was only partially covered by insurance. The saloon here was run by Albert Carlson. He had no insurance, lost $500 worth of liquors. Only 2 barrels of whiskey were saved. The cause of the fire was a mystery. No speculation.
On February 25, 1896, the railroad reached Walker. A roundhouse which serviced the engines and our first depot were built here early in 1896 while the trestle was being built at Shingabee Island by the Brainerd and Northern Minnesota Railroad. Walker was the end of the line until 1899. Trains carried logs and freight in those days, and passenger coaches were added shortly thereafter.
I am Charles Kinkel, and my life began in Württemberg, Germany in 1859. Seeing the potential of the Leech Lake area, I moved to Walker in 1895 and began building the Lakeshore Hotel, which had 22 rooms. It was finished in March of 1896, just after the railroad had arrived. I was then able to bring my wife Lena and our 3 children from Brainerd. For a number of years, I set up tents on the north side of the tracks over here for the overflow of the hotel guests, especially during the summer. My building was demolished in 1982 to make way for this parking lot. I had many businesses in Walker. I continued my meat business. I had a brickyard near Glengarry Resort. a beer distributorship, and I was a partner in the Leech Lake Lumber Company and the sawmill at City Park. In 1914, I established the Kinkle Furniture Store just down the street here. After a flu epidemic that took many lives here in Walker, I thought we needed a funeral home. So I hired Earl Thomas as an undertaker and ran the business out of the furniture store. I remained in the furniture business until I died in 1929. When the city was incorporated in March of 1896, I was elected to the first city council, and later that year became mayor, serving in that post until 1915. During those early years, I helped found the First State Bank and St. Agnes Catholic Church. I also served on the school board. In the early 1900s, I platted land I owned south of the courthouse. Of the lots created, I gave one to the school and one to St. Agnes. The school was built on the lot in 1909, and St. Agnes finished their building in 1914.
J.J. Frost opened the first sample room and dwelling place here in 1896. In Walker's early days, salesmen displayed their wares here, and customers would also drink and smoke their cigars. He also operated a real estate business, the Homestead Locator, from the premises. Carl Friedrich Lewis was the son of Carl and Friederike Kruger and was born in Germany in 1857. At the age of 25, he and his brother George came to America, and on April 1st of 1896, they arrived in Walker. The city meat market was sold to Peter Sarf and Lewis and George Kruger in 1904. Sarf sold his share to Bilbin, and together Bilbin and Kruger operated the market until the partnership was dissolved and the building was demolished in 1910.
The first meeting of this post, the William Cowes Spencer American Legion Post number 134, was held on August 27, 1919. There were 16 veterans as charter members. William Cowes Spencer, or Spence as he was called, was born in Elk River, Minnesota in 1890. He moved to Walker as a small boy when his father built the Spencer Hotel on the corner of 5th and Cleveland Boulevard. Spence spent his childhood in Walker, and then as a young man moved west to go into the logging business with his brother Walter. He later enlisted in the army and was serving in France when he was killed in the Argonne Forest on October 2nd, 1918. It was his 28th birthday. William Cowes Spencer was Walker's only World War II soldier to make this supreme sacrifice. So the members of the Legion Post number 134 decided to honor him by naming their post in his memory.
If you enjoyed this segment of Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground, consider making a contribution at lptv.org. If you have segment ideas pertaining to North Central Minnesota, contact us at legacy@lptv.org. Common Ground is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund by the vote of the people on November 4th, 2008.